Good morning, traders from whichever side of the country world you're watching me from. Welcome to today's morning market call. My name is Ian Joseph, market analyst at HFM. And a quick disclaimer before we do begin: the information herein is only meant for educational and informative purposes only. None of it shall be construed as investment advice. Trading the financial markets do carry a degree of risk, but don't worry, I'm here to help you comb the market through the right way. Stero, hello, thank you for being the first one to join via IG. Hello, Ben Sitters, Chat, Kemei, Cactus Muteo, welcome once again. It's a beautiful day. HFM, one and the only broker in Kenya currently at the moment. Now, in the spirit of 50 years celebrating providing you with the right products with the right platforms, we are offering a few giveaways, a few promotions. If you go over to our HF website under the promotions tab, we do have the pure gold giveaway whereby you have a chance to win 10 grams of pure gold. Now, this promotion is going to be ending in the next 5 days, 2 hours as per the time of recording, but you do have an opportunity to win 10 grams of pure gold. Hit the target, set it, win it, hit it. Whereby, how do you join? You go over to your HF under the promotions platform. Join the Pure Gold giveaway. Trade 100 standard lot size in gold using any account type. Hit the target of 10 grams of pure gold. Now, welcome to round two of Battle of the Elite, whereby you have a chance to become Kenya's Dawn Wapis, claim the crown, ladies and gentlemen, with 650,000. Now, the promotion number one is going to walk home with $5,000. Number two is going to walk home with $2,000. Number three is going to walk home with $1,000. We're going to have 10 winners in the lucky draw, whereby we are going to gift you $200 each. Now, how do you join? You go over to the promotions Battle of the Elite round two and join the promotion. Open Battle of the Elite trading account and deposit at least $100. Trade any asset and rank in the top three traders by percentage wise. Once again, you go over to your HF platform under promotions. Now we do have round two also of the first five, whereby we have a 325,000 Kenyan shilling prize pool. The competition is going to run for 18 days, which is going to conclude on the 22nd of October, whereby it's not only a marathon, it is a sprint to be the first one to win. The first to trade will be the first one to win. How do you join? Once again, you go to promotions, the first five, and join the promo. Trade 150 lot size in Forex, gold, or silver using any account type. Be one of the first five traders to complete the trading requirement by 22nd of October. Now, these are the promotions that are currently ongoing at the moment, and many more are due to come. Going back to today, I can see Cactus already has a question. NFP might not be there, and yes, there is a likelihood we are not going to receive non-farm payroll today as a result of what is happening with the US government at the moment. Now, we're going to start our day looking at the economic calendar, whereby we just have received Governor Ueda's speech today early in the morning at exactly 4:05 a.m. in the morning, whereby this is the speech, and we will want to look at a few key points that what do they have in store for us. Now, when you look at the speeches from the central bank, technically what you want to look at is the tone. Where are they going to set future monetary policy? And we want to look at the speech itself. This is the official document that was released at that particular moment in time, whereby usually when the speeches do start, they are going to look at where they've come from. Let's say, for example, since February of this year, the United States introduced a series of tariffs, starting with country-specific tariffs on China and other countries, then item-specific tariffs on steel and aluminium, automobiles, and other items. Now, this followed by reciprocal tariffs on many economies, in particular the reciprocal tariffs announced on April the 2nd were large scale, applying to a wide range of items, which is unprecedented for an advanced economy after World War II. According to staff calculations by the IMF shown in the left, now these are the charts. We'll look at the charts in just a moment in time, which whereby we did see tariff rate, which had been around 2%, will rise significantly to a level over 20%, with some economies launching retaliatory measures. Indexes gauging uncertainty regarding trade policies have also risen rapidly. Now, when you look at this document, it usually starts with where they've come from, the impacts of tariffs, what is inflation doing. Now, when you're looking at Japan is a net exporter, meaning they do export a lot of goods compared to importation of goods, and they to look at where they from, where they are currently at the moment. So the outlook, this is the outlook for Japan's economic activities and prices, whereby they're going to look at okay where we are currently at the moment. Then what are some of the risks surrounding trade policies? Governor Ueda did mention a few risks. Once again, the main risk currently at the moment is the tariff policy, whereby they have been enacting tariffs. And when you look at Japan, once again, they are net exporters of goods and services from them, and their biggest consumers are the United States. Now, looking at the supply chain complexity, global supply chains have become more sophisticated in recent years. Their complexity has also increased, adding to the uncertainty surrounding, once again, the impact of tariff policies, given the production networks across Asia intricately intertwined, especially IT related industries. Now, if unexpected bottlenecks emerge and ripple through the entire supply chain, this could have a significant impact on Japan's exports and imports and on Japan's farms and businesses activity. Against this background, it is necessary to carefully monitor the future course of negotiations, not only between Japan and the United States, but also between the US and other economies. Now, the future of globalization. This is whereby we as traders want to pay now close attention to, whereby one of the mandates a central bank is to offer forward guidance, whereby they look at all the data that is currently happening in the moment and they give guidance onto where do they feel the future markets, the future economy will be headed to. Now, we are going to look at how exactly this is what I'm talking about the future conduct of monetary policy. As mentioned, the bank currently expects that Japan's economy will be able to withstand downward pressure stemming from tariff policies, and that the mechanism in which wages and prices moderately in interaction with each other will not be interrupted. Although underlying CPI inflation is likely to be sluggish temporarily, there has not been change in the general direction of the bank's outlook that underlying CPI inflation is expected to rise gradually towards the 2%. However, as for the risks to the baseline scenario of the outlook, uncertainties regarding the future course of trade policy in each jurisdiction are extremely high, and it is therefore necessary to pay due attention to the impact of trade policy on financial and foreign exchange markets on Japan's economic activities and prices. Although recent progress in trade negotiations, particularly the agreement between the United States and China to substantially scale back tariffs rates on each other, is perceived as positive development by the markets, there remain high uncertainties. The bank needs to examine these developments carefully and to make decisions as appropriate regarding its monetary policy conduct. We do have a question from 21 Forest, where what is your outlook gold, Nasdaq, and DXY? We are going to look at that in less than a few minutes. I shall look. If you have any asset that you would want me to look into, kindly put it in the chat box. I'll be glad to digest the data for you. In doing so, it is important to recognize that financial conditions in Japan have been accommodative. Real interest rates currently are significantly negative, even more so than during the period of large-scale monetary easing, partly because the bank has cautiously adjusted the degree of monetary accommodation, even as inflation expectations have risen moderately. We do have just let's boy UJ. We shall look at USD JPY in just a moment. Moreover, financial institutions have continued to take an active lending stance, and issuance conditions for corporate bonds have remained favorable on the whole. Such accommodative financial conditions are provided firm support for economic activity in Japan. Now, concluding remarks I have talked about by I mean Governor did quote, Governor Ueda did quote, he did talk about the outlook for economic activity and prices in Japan and the bank's thinking of monetary policy conduct in light of this outlook. As mentioned today, although developments in trade policy since early spring have had a larger impact on Japan's economy, we do anticipate that the nascent developments toward achieving the 2% price stability have continued to gain momentum. Given that the uncertainties regarding trade policies are likely to remain high, the bank, keyword here, bank will carefully examine a range of data and information and assess the outlook for economic activity and prices the risks surrounding them and the likelihood of realizing the outlook without any preconceptions. On this basis, the bank will continue to conduct monetary policy as appropriate from the perspective of sustainable and stable achievement of the 2% price stability target. Now, looking at this speech from Governor Ueda, they are going to hold rates. Technically, that's what it means. They are going to hold rates while looking at oncoming data that is going to be released as time moves on. Now, going back to the economic calendar, whereby we were anticipating today is the first Friday of the month, and as usual, we do anticipate non-farm payrolls. But on this particular day, it's going to be an exception because this data is usually released by the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. When you look at non-farm payrolls, it's usually released by the BLS. Now, the BLS is part of the federal system. And as a result of the government shutdown that we have seen in the markets, this data is not going to be released. And not only the non-farm payroll, if this continues to persist, we are not going to receive CPI numbers, which were due also to come out next week. We are not going to receive PPI numbers. We are not going to receive a lot of data that are related to the Fed system, whereby this is going to have an impact because we usually look at this data. Institutions look at this data to gauge. The Fed Reserve look at non-farm payrolls. They look at inflationary numbers to see where they are going to set monetary policy in the near future. If this is not going to be released to us today or in the near future, there's a high likelihood the uncertainty is going to pile up in the markets, and we might see investors running off towards safer havens currently at the moment. Now, once again, we are not, if you look at our economic calendar, not applicable for the labor force participation rate, not applicable for the average hourly earnings, the month-to-month release for September. The underemployment rate is also not going to be released. So will be the average weekly hours. So will be the non-farm payrolls for the data of September. Once again, we are not going to receive non-farm payrolls today, but we are going to receive ISM services PMI. Now, this is the Purchasing Managers Index released on a monthly basis, which is a leading indicator gauging business activity in the US sector, which makes up most of the economy. The indicator is obtained from a survey of supply executives across the US based on information they've collected within their respective organizations. Survey responses reflect the changes, if any, in the current month compared to the previous month. A reading usually above 50 is seen as the economy is expanding. A reading below 50 usually signals that the economy is contracting, which is seen as bearish for the United States dollar. Now, the PMI is a private entity data whereby they're going to look at business activity. Most of these businesses are private entities, which is not going to be affected with the government shutdown currently at the moment. Which brings me to the next segment whereby we are going to focus lesser on fundamental news releases and we are going to focus more on technical charts, whereby at the moment as it stands, do anticipate a lot of volatility in the market. Let me share my screen. I do believe my screen is now up. Now we did have from Kenya watching. Thank you, Jade Eileen. Okay. So once again, we are not going to receive non-farm payroll today. There's too much stage. I do believe you can see my screen currently at the moment. Now we had gold. We are going to start with gold, the precious metal. Whereby yesterday we saw quite an interesting amount of activity on the precious metal. Starting off with this was the day, this was the particular time whereby the government did shut down this particular candle here ever since 7 a.m. on first of this month for more than 98 hours, for more than 48 hours. We are currently going on to the third day. This is the third day, but from this particular region here, the markets, this was when we received the data that the government of the United States did shut down for more than 49 hours currently and counting. The markets are receiving this data and we are digesting the data of what could be the implications of the government shutting down. Now, we did see prices of gold move to the upper side for the next, ever since London opened on 1st of October, whereby we did see prices move almost 1% to the upper side, but quickly, as the markets did gain, the markets did give back the gains that it had made. By the time it did reach closing price on 1st of October, we did see prices closing almost closely to where the markets did open. Now, yesterday was very interesting because ever since Asian Open, we saw prices consolidating. We had signs of buyers coming into the markets, and we had this candlestick tapping just into yesterday, the previous day's high around $3,895.7 an ounce, which was an all-time high currently at that particular moment in time. We did have this candles that break to the upper side, but massively moved to the lower side. We had signs of bears coming into the market, and this was massive. This was really, really massive. In less than 3 hours, prices moved more than 750 pips to the downside quite significantly, and then the markets did come back, closed almost to where it did open. And now this is very important whenever you're looking at charts. Whenever you're looking at the closing prices and the opening prices of charts, this shows you where institutions, where the general psychology, because whenever someone closes their work at a specific point in time, and whenever someone opens, let's say for example, we are looking at New York closing price and Asian open, it usually has a very, very big impact in understanding how institutions are trying to push prices in the long run. Now, looking at ever since um, 1st of October, we have been seeing prices close almost exactly whereby it did open. Now, this is very important. Looking at it currently, also at the moment, prices are trading just slightly above the opening price of Asian session today, which shows us that, okay, institutions are still weighing on what this could mean. Now, statistic has it that the United States government could be losing at least $15 billion every week. That this continues, that's a lot of monetary value that the United States stands to lose if this continues to persist. Now, we did see GDP numbers coming in better than anticipated last week, whereby I don't believe it was around this region here, whereby we did see prices of US dollar moving to the upper side. When I'm looking at gold, gold did move to the downside, but we did see a strength in the dollar last week when GDP numbers were released. But looking at it currently at the moment, we are looking at could this have an impact on the precious metal. We are currently trading almost at all-time highs. We are currently at 38.60 at the moment, which is only less than 357 pips away from the all-time highs, less than 1% of the total value of gold at the moment. And once again, as a trader, we do anticipate a lot of volatility, like what we did receive yesterday during New York session. As a trader, the most important thing that you would want to look at is risk management. Always ensure that you calculate your lot size. And I'm going to show you a website. I'm going to show you a tool on our website whereby it's going to enable you calculate risk, calculate lot size in the best way possible, so that you enable yourself to know exactly what you're putting on the table even before you do execute your position. Now, looking at gold, today is going to be the final trading day of the weekly candle, and I want to be very cautious because there could be a lot of volatility coming into New York City. As we have seen, prices did open during Asia, move to the downside. Currently, at the moment, we are retracing back, giving back the losses that were made during Asian session today. Once again, I would want to be very careful on the highs and these lows that are marked out on the charts. The next asset 21 Forest I wanted us to look at was the NASDAQ, which is a tech-heavy index in the United States of America. Now, currently at the moment, if you look at it on the daily perspective, NASDAQ is flying. NASDAQ is firing on all cylinders. Ever since January, we did see when Trump came into power, there were talks of tariffs, and the markets didn't know what exactly could happen. We did see Nasdaq move quite significantly to the downside. For 32 days, prices of Nasdaq moved more than 30% from its highs, which was considered a market crash at this particular moment in time. But after that period, we did see the Nasdaq gain almost 52%, which is one of the biggest gains we have seen on Nasdaq over the past 10 years. For less than 128 trading days, Nasdaq moved more than 52.95%. Currently trading at all-time highs. If I look at it on the 1 hour time frame, Nasdaq is at all-time high, currently speaking at the moment, whereby yes, when you're looking at Nasdaq, it's not going to be heavily affected as a result of what is happening to the government, because most of the companies that constitute the Nasdaq are private entities, meaning their funding is still going to be secure. When you look at companies like Nvidia, Meta, Google, Tesla, all of the companies, most of the companies that constitute on the Nasdaq are private entities, meaning they have their own funding. They know how they do operate. Even if the government was to shut down everything, they will still be in business. And this is what we are seeing on Nasdaq currently at the moment. When the markets did shut down fast, yes, we did see the Nasdaq rose quite significantly during Asian session. If I can pull a Fibonacci from this low to this high. As you can see, prices from this leg to this leg, prices did move quite significantly. We had a short-term retracement on Monday, whereby prices did come and tap into the golden retracement region, and we had massive buyers coming into the market, pushing prices of Nasdaq to all-time highs on fast. Then yesterday we did have prices ever since once again during Asian session move quite aggressively to the upper side. Then we had this retracement, the same that we have seen happen on gold, whereby prices did come up tap into the opening price of yesterday, whereby once again, very important, look at how this candlestick came back, tapped into the opening price of yesterday, Asian session, moved back to the upper side, closed well more than 50% of this leg. If I can have a Fibonacci from this high to this low, as you can see, prices did close exactly on the 50% on the Fibonacci. Now, currently at the moment, ever since Asian did open, prices are moving to the upper side. And I would want to look at oncoming data. Now, once again, we are not going to receive NFP numbers today, but we are going to receive PMI numbers, which are services, which if it does come out positive, it means that generally speaking, the economy is expanding. And I would want to see more net long opportunities on the Nasdaq. Currently, at the moment, if you do have a short-term retracement, I would want to look at more buying opportunities on the Nasdaq, because if I look at it on the daily perspective, this daily candlestick has no wick to the bottom side, apart from the candlestick that will open during Asian session today, which this could happen during New York session, which is about to happen in the next less than 6 hours, 30 minutes to come. Very interesting to note how this one is going to play out in the near future. Now, there was the dollar index. Now, the dollar index has been looking at it from a higher time frame to a lower time frame, looking at it on a daily perspective. We have been consolidating for quite some time, but looking at ever since January of this year, whereby once again there were implications, there were tariffs being enacted to countries, and we did see the dollar lose against assets. Now, when you're looking at the dollar index, this is the value of the dollar against a basket of six current currencies, including the euro, accounting for a majority of it, more than 50%. Then we have the British pound, we have the Japanese yen, and many currencies. Actually, six currencies to be exact. And looking at it currently at the moment, we did move to the downside. We have formed support around this region. We did see prices go below the 90 region. Quite interesting. The 96.05 region, whereby we did have this candlestick break the most recent low that was made back in 25th of July, but the markets did close well above that region, meaning the United States dollar is still showing resilience despite everything that's happening currently at the moment. The dollar is still slightly strong in spite of everything that's happening at the moment. Now, looking at it from this perspective, ever since the government did shut down, we haven't been seeing clear higher highs and clear lower lows, meaning the markets could be waiting for the next piece of vital data. Are there going to be breakthrough between the Democrats and the Republicans? What is going to happen in the near future? Once again, we are not going to receive NFP data today. Meaning, if this continues to persist, we are not going to receive CPI numbers, PPI numbers next week, which is going to be very interesting. There is a possibility also we might not even receive commitment of traders report later on in the day, which, as you guys, if you have been following me, I'm a fan favorite of the commitment of traders, looking at how institutions are buying and selling into the market. The CFTC, which is in charge of the commitment of traders, which once again is part of the Fed system, is going to be affected, whereby we do have more than 500 workers working there, but at the moment they are going to be drastically furloughed, whereby a lot of people are going to be sent home on temporarily leave, and they're going to remain with a few people. Over 750,000 jobs currently at the moment are at stake, meaning the commitment of traders, high likelihood we are not going to receive it later on in the day. Which, once again, how do I know this? If I look at my economic calendar here, this is the commitment of traders report. Where is it? Here, this is the COT data that was supposed to be released today at exactly 2000 hours, whereby we will want to look at, okay, if is this going to be updated? Very, very unlikely. Now, there was USD JPY, I do believe it was 20. Yeah, from just this boy, USD JPY. Okay. Now, looking at USD JPY, we have been seeing the dollar lose against the Japanese yen quite significantly of late. And if I was to look at it on a higher perspective, if I was to look at it on a H4 time frame, the dollar against the yen currently in the short term, we are making clear lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. Currently, at the moment, this high is respecting the most recent high. Now, looking at what the Bank of Japan Governor Ueda has just mentioned earlier on today, he did talk about they would want to look at oncoming data. Now, Japan are supposed to go vote tomorrow, whereby they're supposed to bring in a new prime minister, meaning before Monday, we are going to anticipate, by the time the markets will open on Monday, we are going to anticipate a bit of volatility on the Japanese yen because once again, the people who are being brought into power, they're going to come up with their own ideologies, and these could affect the markets either positively or negatively. And we want to look at who's going to be brought in, what they have in terms or in store of future economic outlook. But looking at it at the moment, we have been very, very, very bearish on US dollar against the Japanese yen. If this high fails to break the most recent high, I would want to see prices of USD JPY moving further to the downside because the dollar currently at the moment is having a lot of uncertainties. The yen could be seen as a safe haven, particularly if Bank of Japan do decide to increase rates in the near future. We shall see more capital inflows into the Japanese yen, meaning the dollar against Japanese could move further to the downside. But on the other hand, if you do have prices breaking above today's high, I would want to look at prices moving to the upside, possibly coming back to these regions of inefficiencies, these higher lows that we have been seeing in the markets in the previous time, whereby 149.968 will be a likely target in the long term, if at all we do close above the 147.840 region. Hello, Git. Updates on BTC currently at the moment, the bill has not yet been passed in Parliament, meaning we cannot look at Bitcoin currently at the moment. But before the year does end, there's a high likelihood we shall be trading back Bitcoin. Thank you, Spring, for the follow. Okay, if there are no further questions, that's going to be it for me. I shall see you in the next segment, which is going to be exactly Monday at a similar time. Once again, risk management is going to be very important. And I did mention over tool on the HFM website, which is going to help you calculate risk better. When you go to your HF website or the application, preferably the website, under tools and education, when you go to the tools, there are the trading calculators. When you click on the trading calculator, the first one is we have 8 calculators at your disposal. Each of these calculators are meant to help you look at the markets the right way, calculate risk, ensure you know what you're getting yourself into. And especially the first calculator is very, very important, which is called the risk percentage calculator. If you click on this tool, use this tool, it's going to bring up a new tab whereby you're going to specify your account currency, what type of asset are you looking at. Is it Forex? Let's say, for example, I want to look at GBP USD. I look at Forex and then I source for GBP USD here. It's going to tell me to specify my opening price. Always ensure you specify your opening price, which is the direction you're looking. Are you looking to buy the markets or sell the markets? Ensure you put your stop loss price, specify your account balance, how many percent of risk will you want to execute on that position? Then hit calculate. It's going to tell you the stop loss in pips of from the entry price to the stop loss, and then it's going to give you the lot size. When it gives you the lot size, then this is when you come here and execute on that lot size. This is going to ensure that you know what you're getting yourself into. Practice risk management. Risk management is what is going to ensure that you stay in the game long enough so that the probabilities will play out in your favor. Once again, my name is Ian Joseph, market analyst at HFM. Have a blessed end to the week. For those who are going to be in Nairobi, we are going to have an event tomorrow at Salit Center. Come join us. Tag along a friend. We are in Kilifi currently at the moment at the Titanic Hotel. Purpose to attend. Stay safe. Once again, take care of yourselves. May God protect you. May your enemies respect you. May death neglect you and your families.